So a very good morning, welcome back to another video. Today we're once again on the North Yorkshire Moors. We're about a mile outside of Goathland. Now, just behind the field behind me, there is a little beck and there's a waterfall down there called Nelly Ayre Foss. Now, it's one of the lesser known waterfalls in this area. There's a few waterfalls around Goathland: Mallion Spout, Beckhole, Waterfall, Foss, Thomason Foss. They're all probably waterfalls some of you may have known. But Nelly Ayre Foss, I'm guessing not many of you will have done, so that's why we're coming here. It's going to be a photograph that you've probably not seen before, so something new for the channel. So let's get down there and let's get stuck in. Okay, so I've made it to the waterfall, and what I did, I crossed over the top of it because I want to get down to the bottom of the fall and shoot across it rather than take a vantage point above it and shoot down on it. So from where I was stood at the other side, it seemed like this was the easiest spot to get down to the bottom of the waterfall. So I still got to get down this little thing, this little ledge down here, but other than that, once we get down there, we should be able to take some photographs across the waterfall from down there. So today we're going to use the Canon 5D Mark III and probably the 16 to 35mm lens. Hopefully nothing's going to end up in the water, because there's always a chance of that when you're shooting around places like this, and I really want to avoid that today. So I'm going to get down there, the last little bit of the scramble, and then we'll set the camera up and we'll start taking some photographs there. Sounds like a good plan to me. Let's get stuck in. Alright, so let's go handheld for this a little bit, and I'm going to try and walk you through this composition handheld, so I don't have to balance more tripods on this sketchy little rock than I already have. So starting with the bottom of the frame, the bottom left, we have this green rock, this pointy rock here. I really like that as a big foreground interest. There's also a smaller split piece of rock just below it down there. Now coming over towards the other side of the frame, we've got this other rock. It's kind of leading in from the bottom, but you can see down there there's a pool of water. So I've put the polarising filter on the camera just to take the shine off of that pool. But like I said last time out when I was photographing the waterfalls, you can think of a polarising filter as a one-stop filter. So it's just helping, giving me another second on the exposure here. So we're at 2 seconds of exposure time. Now, the top left-hand corner of the frame, we have the main waterfall there, as you can see, and all the white water is just pooling below that waterfall. And I really do like that in the long exposure. You can see it's kind of arcing round as well. So it's not just pooling, it's arcing as well. Now, towards the top right-hand corner of the frame, we have these two smaller waterfalls, just giving a little bit of balance to that area of the image. And then way over in the left, there's just a smaller fall just trickling in from the corner down there. So I'm going to put the camera on the tripod, and I'll talk to you about some settings, and then we'll go ahead, we'll take the first photograph this morning. Right, so the camera's now firmly back on the tripod. I'm quite happy, I'm not going to fall and break something, so let's take the first proper photograph with my new Canon 5D Mark III. So I've got a polarising filter on the front of this lens. We're using the 16 to 35mm. We're at f10, 2 seconds, and ISO 200. So here we go, 2 second timer. Here's the first photograph with my new Canon 5D Mark III. We're at 70mm. Pretend that didn't happen. We're at 70mm. What I'm using is, I'm using this big pointy rock that I used last time, but I've kind of got this dominating the bottom left-hand corner of the frame, coming in at a funny angle like that. And just behind it, I don't know if you can see where I am right now, but there's another green rock just behind that as well. So I've kind of got one rock and one rock down there, and then we've just got the big waterfall coming right in the middle of the frame. And it's looking quite nice. I've put a polarizer on again. We're at about 2 seconds, so let's go ahead, we'll take this photograph. Alright, so let's take this photograph then. So the first thing I want to sort of briefly mention is, how do you meter for waterfalls? How do you not blow the waterfalls out? Well, these Canon cameras, when you use the live view, you have like a little white box and you move around. That's basically your focus point, but it's also your metering point as well. So I will focus on something with contrast, like a big black rock in the background, which is obviously quite close to the waterfall. But then I'll also put the meter point over the waterfall itself without actually autofocusing, and that'll give me a meter reading, and then I can bring the exposure back to expose for the waterfall. So let's look at the exposure settings then. So we're at 2 seconds, f11, ISO 100, using a 2-second timer. Here's the second photograph, and I'm going to get myself set up and take the next photograph down the river in that direction. So isn't it funny how you change your mind over time when you see something that you like, you see a composition or something that might work, and the more you investigate it, the more you look around, the more you see different elements, and you really want to focus on them elements, eradicate other elements. So like I said earlier on in the video, I am taking a photograph of the smaller waterfall and the tree, but everything that I saw originally around that composition has gone. Basically, I've moved well past the rocks that I liked, and we're now essentially shooting right down onto the white water, using that as a bit of a leading line into the tree in the background. Isn't it funny how when you see something originally and then you sort of fine tune it in your head and you explore and you experiment, and it can sometimes completely change. The subject remains the same, but your original idea evolves and changes. I think that's one of the wonderful things about photography. You see something, you play with it, you evolve with it, you roll with it, and eventually you find something that you're happy with. So I'm going to hurry up and get this one done, because I've got a camera on a tripod in the middle of a stream, and I really don't like that. If you're Dave Flower, you will know exactly what I mean about that. Rest in peace, 6300. So yeah, let's get this photograph taken, and I'm going to get myself out of this little canyon thing and probably wrap the video from there, I think. Yeah, let's get this photograph taken. Alright, so this next photo. Okay, so this next photograph, it's been a real pain to sort of figure out, and I'm not sure if in the end I do like it all much, but we're going to take it anyway, and we'll see what it looks like when we get home. And I'm going to show you it regardless. So where we're at f11, ISO 100 and 3.2 seconds, and I'm just using the waterfall just down there, leading up to some white water all the way down to the broken tree at the end of this stream. There's a little area, a little cluster of green mossy rocks. I quite like them in the middle ground, but the problem we've got is all the trees in the background with the way the light is and the way it's so dark down here. I can't get a balance between blowing the trees out and still no long exposure on the waterfall. It's just been a bit of a chore and a bit of a faff. So that photograph's taken, I'm going to show it to you, and then I think we'll wrap the video up from there. So thank you very much for joining me on today's little adventure, the first outing with my Canon 5D Mark III, and I've really enjoyed myself, but I am also slightly glad to be away from the water and all the rocks now. Things can go wrong pretty quickly down there, and I don't like it. I don't like having tripods and cameras set up in like tight little spots with water, so I'm glad to be out there again. But I really have enjoyed having this Canon 5D out with me today. Oh, one thing I should show you, I've got a new L bracket. It's bright red this time as opposed to the bright orange one that I used to have. Well, I still have it. It's just when I first got it, I had a different tripod and I had to murderize it with an angle grinder so it fit on the tripod, and the exposed aluminium was all starting to get a bit rusty, so I thought, stuff it, we'll get a new L bracket. So thank you for watching. If you do watch me for the Canon 7D content, don't worry, the Canon 7D is not going anywhere. There is still going to be plenty of content coming around that Canon 7D. I just wanted to get a full frame camera for everyday photography. I've been using crop sensors, the 1D Mark III and the 7D. They're both sort of crop sensors. The 1D maybe not so much, but it's been nice to use a full frame camera again. I kind of forgot how wide angle everything looks, even with the 24-70, 24mm on full frame. It's a lot wider than it is on APS-C, so it's been a bit weird in that respect. But yeah, thank you for watching me and joining me on today's adventure. If you did enjoy the video, please do give it a thumbs up. It really does help the video out and it brings new viewers into my channel. And if you'd like to see more than that, somewhere below me there is a subscribe button. You can press that and you'll see more nonsense and adventure in the future. So until the next time, I'm going to say peace and goodbye.